Welcome to Monkeys Unfiltered, the podcast where chaos meets conversation, and the unexpected is always on the menu. Join hosts Leanne, Jason, and Hayden as they swing through life's absurd, hilarious, and thought-provoking moments. No topic is too wild, no opinion is too untamed. Get ready for unfiltered banter, laughs, and a barrel of fun. This is Monkeys Unfiltered.
Welcome back to Monkeys Unfiltered. Last week, we talked about a whole array of things, trying to figure out exactly what this podcast might end up being. This week, we talk about whatever we're about to talk about.
Like whether pineapple belongs on pizza. Wait, seriously. Do you eat pineapple on your pizza, Hayden?
I will. I don't find it repulsive like a lot of people do.
Do you, Jason?
I find pineapple repulsive in general, therefore, I do not.
Oh,
Pineapple's so good, though.
it is good.
It's supposed to make... Never mind.
I was going to go there, but decided not to.
Yeah, let's not.
We might not want to let the whole world know that that's the kind of conversations we have.
Well, I don't mind having that. It's just
I don't either. I don't mind that the whole world knows that we have those kind of conversations, because I'm going to tell you what. That is the one thing Don always says about our relationships, like us as a group, the four of us, me, you, Hayden, and Matthew, and then like me with each of you individually. He always comments on how there's nothing we don't talk about. Like, you guys don't keep secrets from me. I mean, you may in the beginning, but you eventually like come clean and say, hey, I got to tell you something, or hey, can I talk to you about something? He has always just been mesmerized that that's the relationship that we have. People tell me all the time, oh, you did such a great job raising your kids. And I'm like, okay, it totally wasn't me, because I had no idea what the hell I was doing. But I got really lucky that, I was gifted three amazing souls who just really didn't give me a ton of trouble. You had messy rooms. You got in a fight at school. You cut class. Matthew had a few bumps or whatever. But you guys generally would just be like, and this is literally how you said it, dude, I got to talk to you about something.
yeah.
And we would get in the car and we would have those conversations because the car was our place.
We had lots of deep conversations just driving somewhere up to like a pond or something, just sitting there for an hour or two.
Yeah.
To really drive this point home, Mom, do you remember I was helping you set up for some event or party or Thanksgiving or something like that, and you had sent me out. However, I was supposed to go to the grocery store and pick up, one or two things.
I remember
that you needed.
I know exactly where you're going.
Yeah, my girlfriend happened to live in the neighborhood, so because I was able to borrow the car, I kind of did a little detour there. And I came back like an hour or two later, and you're like, "What has happened? Like, what? I don't understand why you're so late with just these two items that I sent you for." And I was just like,
with the grocery store across the street. Yeah, you're all like, "Guess what I just did?" And I'm like, "What? Excuse me? Excuse me?" Yeah, yeah. Well, in that vein of conversation, it is also where Hayden came clean in the car.
Yeah, you always said that the car was the safe space and stuff. So, I mean, I felt like, being young, especially because I was entirely too young to have done it.
What it? Oh, it. Okay.
It. But I still had that anxiety of like, you're gonna get mad at me. You're gonna, like, something's gonna go wrong, so I kept it for a little while. But no, I think I told you before Cheyenne told her parents by like a mile.
And I don't think you kept it a secret a long time.
A couple months.
Was it that long?
Yeah, at least, because it was really her like saying like, I want to tell my parents, that made me like, I don't really want to, but I will, I guess.
Yeah, because I remember I was driving you to school and you said, hey, can you pull over? And I'm
No.
like, no?
Yeah, no, that's when you lived at the beach, and it was in the parking lot. I think we were coming back from school, not to school.
Oh, we had just
'Cause-
parked under the trees. I
Yeah.
remember. Yeah.
Because I had been talking to her about it at school, and that's when I decided to tell you.
And what I do.
You were just like, okay, that's fine, you know?
I don't think I said that's fine.
No,
I think
like you weren't mad like I thought you'd be, and you were very supportive of, like, this is the space where you can tell me anything.
Mm-hmm.
Like, the car is where you can't get mad. I can't get mad.
Well, first of all, it's hard for me to beat your ass while we're driving down the road. So, not true. I have a story from when I was a kid, but we'll put a pin in that one. But that was the whole concept, though, is in the car, you can say whatever you need to say it how you need to say it. If you needed to just say, this is bullshit, and you're, 14, I'm not going to rail you over it because clearly your emotions are that high and you need to get them out. And so riding in the car, you can't just walk away. You can't really blow up and lose your cool because you got to focus on what you're doing. So it just became that kind of space where we had these conversations. And that particular day, Hayden, I think, what I said to you was, because you were worried about me being disappointed in you. And I'm like, no, I'm not disappointed in you. It's a natural thing. It happens. I think you guys were 16-ish, which, things happen. You guys had been together for a really long time. I mean, let's face it, you guys met when you were like 14 years old and now you're married. So
it's nice that you think we were 16 when we had sex for the first time.
I don't remember how old you were. You might have been 15, but whatever the age was, I agreed. Like, I think I said to you, I'm not disappointed in you. I wish you guys had waited till you were older. But now that this has happened, we need to be very cognizant of how you guys take care of yourselves moving forward. And I think there was a little bit of time where Rachel and I didn't want to let you guys be alone together. But yeah. I mean, the beauty in y'all's thing is you're now 10 years later married,
I was about to say 9 years, no baby. So, doing something right.
Right.
Or you're just blank.
Maybe, yeah.
Maybe.
That was pretty messed up. I'm sorry.
But you know what, Jason, you're right. You can't beat somebody's butt while you're driving down the road because there's such a thing called the whoop-ass lane.
Whoop-ass lane, 100%.
My mom used to pull over in the whoop-ass lane a lot.
What's the whoop-ass lane? Just the shoulder?
It's the shoulder of the road where you pull over and beat your kids in the 70s.
So commonly it's misunderstood as the fire lane.
The only fire that happens there, the only fire that happens in that lane is on your butt when you can't sit down because it's all lit up. Because it's all lit up. Yeah. But it's funny because, and this is kind of what Don finds so interesting about our relationship and how openly we talk about things. All three of you told me, Hayden, not immediately, but all three of you came to me and went, hey, guess what I just did? I mean, Matthew even called me ahead of time and went, hey, I think I want to do this. What do I do? And I'm like, well, you go get some condoms.
The answer is it.
Right. Right. But I will say Hayden was the only one who didn't wait till 18 or later.
Yeah. Well, I've grown a lot more healthy respect for what it takes to be in a serious committed relationship and everything. I used to kind of be like super nonchalant, and I don't know. I've grown a much healthier respect for the whole situation.
Well, yeah. I mean, because relationships, a lot of people just think they're disposable. I mean, I'll fess up. I've been married and divorced more times than I want to admit, but it's because I wasn't doing it for the right reasons.
Well, I feel like that kind of leads into why those two and me are so different, with the fact of I'm a lot more like my father than they are to their father.
Definitely.
They're a lot more like you. So
Thank God.
I think your relationship with them is a little different than the relationship you and me have. Like, not to like, I don't tell you the same shit, but it's like I have somebody else that I could go to that's not you.
Definitely, my relationship with the two of them differs from yours because they didn't have the same kind of support you had. They had me, and then whenever Nan could get her foot in the door, which I'm not, I don't want that to come off wrong. There were times when I wouldn't have been able to make it without her when they were little. You know, her stepping in and helping and lending a hand and making sure everybody had what they needed was pretty vital. But they definitely did not have the same paternal support that you had growing up. And I do think it makes a difference. I do. But I don't differentiate mine and your relationship from the relationship I have with the two of them. I feel like you and I have our own, because there are things you'll say, hey, I need to talk to you because I don't want to talk over here or talk over there. I just want to be able to let stuff out.
Most of what I come to you with is about like relationship and like dealing with my wife and stuff like that. And a lot of what I go to from my dad is more like, hey, I don't know how this functions in life. How do I navigate this thing in life, you know?
Right. Right. Well, we just established I am an expert at relationships because I've been married and divorced a few times. But I will say those first few times, admittedly, I mean, I don't regret the time with Jason and Matthew's father. I mean, I regret how we were with one another because that was not healthy at all. But without that relationship, I would not have the two of them. And I definitely don't regret my relationship with your dad, Hayden, because, I mean, I think your dad and I have moved to a point to where we have a level of respect for one another. We lean in and help one another when it's necessary. I mean, we have our own lives, and it's not like we hang out and check in with each other all the time, but we have a decent relationship. It took us a little bit of time to get there, but having you in the middle of it and knowing that we didn't want to damage you was really important to us forging our way through to a healthy relationship.
Well, I also feel like my dad's a very like rare case of human that just wants to take care of everybody else.
I agree. I agree. And that's why, I have always been your dad's, I'm not going to say biggest proponent, but I've always been, in your dad's corner where, it came to, coaching your baseball teams or, joining you and I on a road trip for baseball or, when it came to him and the situation with Kaylee Grace and wanting to adopt. And I was always in his corner for that.
Yeah. I always say that he loves being a dad because any step kid he's had, like even Matthew and Dakota, and then Kaylee Grace adopted, he still claims them as his kids. Like Caitlin, he still claims Caitlin. Julie, he still claims as his granddaughter. Like all this stuff,
So yeah, I can attest to your father being still a father figure in my own life, to the point where he was involved in my wedding, along with all the other men that were father figures in my life. It was kind of interesting to have all of them together in one place. It was definitely a strange thing that people don't usually see.
No.
Well, and they all came to your high school graduation too. And I take that as a testament to who you guys are as humans in the world. I mean, and what you give to the world, even at, the young age of 17, 18, when you're graduating from high school, you had begun to establish yourself as specifically you, Jason, as you are in our family, what everyone refers to as the peacekeeper. Like you want everybody to get along. You don't want there to be disagreements or anybody to be on the outside. In fact, when you were a kid, you wanted everybody to just live on like a big compound together. I mean, like everybody.
I still feel that way.
No, there's some people I don't want to live next door to, but that's okay. But the fact that and again, people used to say to me all the time, like, wow, you've raised such great young men, but it's not, it's not me. I mean, Hayden is fortunate that he does still have a well-involved father figure, but at the end of the day, where I'm going, I feel like my purpose was to bring y'all into this world and point you in the right direction. Not that I think I did anything amazing, but you guys stepped into a path, specifically you, Jason, where, you embrace what your purpose on this earth is, as far as, living a Christian life and being an example and extending grace to people and showing a different pathway. And even Hayden and Matthew, in their own ways, like, so this is what my husband says about Hayden all the time. How does somebody not like Hayden? Hayden is the most even. Hayden is the most even. Like, his emotions don't jump all over the place all the time. He's pretty even. He's pretty forgiving. He just goes with the flow, just no confrontation. Let's just work through this. And he says it all the time. He's like, how does anybody give Hayden a hard time?
You'd be surprised.
Yeah,
I know.
I honestly, I'm a fairly new Christian in the grand scheme of things. It's really changed me for the better, I think, that along with my wife, who is also a devout Christian. I was going nowhere fast when I was younger, like in my early 20s. I didn't really have a whole lot of prospects. I was in college, but didn't like going. I didn't have career plans ahead. I didn't have a direction even of what I wanted to study in the first place. It's just, there was no real, wasn't going anywhere. I worked at kind of a job that I hated. I was going actually back and forth between two jobs, both of which I hated. However, working for the online t-shirt company is what led me to meet my wife. And this is an interesting story because a lot of things had to work out. And looking back on it now, there's really no way that can happen. I mean, coincidence is one thing, but there had to be a lot of coincidences at the same time.
Right.
So when I was traveling, we went to do a show. We went to first Dallas and then Austin, Texas. Then we went to Los Angeles. And on the way back home, we went to Tulsa, Oklahoma. Well, we drove down through Alabama to get back to I-10 to get back to Jacksonville. Ariel was in her internship at the time. However, this was her second round. She had actually failed her first internship. There's a whole lot involved with that. She had some advisors that weren't so great. I mean, people were standing in her way hardcore. And now I can look at that and say also that that was a spiritual attack, because her God-given purpose is to teach. And so when the enemy knows that you're on the right path, he kind of steps in the way and tries to block you from what your biggest impact is going to be. And so her staying there for that extra semester of her internship, if she hadn't done that, she wouldn't have been in Auburn at the time. And so when I passed through, she wouldn't have been there. So, you just look at all these different things that had to happen in a very particular way. I had to work at a job I hated. I had to travel cross country at the exact correct time. She had to fail a semester of internship. She had to just get out of a relationship. I mean, a lot of these things had to happen all at the same time. And I just, at the time, it was like, oh, how interesting. What a coincidence. And now I can look at it and see, like, that's divine intervention to lead me to someone I love more deeply than I ever thought even possible. I mean, this is the greatest thing in my life.
I find it really interesting. Just like, if you come at things with flexible expectations, relationships really kind of unfold as they were intended. Like, I think back about you, Hayden, the summer you and Cheyenne took your little 6-week break and I think about that, and I think about all the things that happened in that situation. Again, much to your point, Jason, all the things that had to happen for that little break to occur. The people that had to come into Hayden's life, the things that had to be said to him. And at that point, Hayden, I feel like, Cheyenne was your first girlfriend. You didn't really have anything to compare it to. And for lack of, and not meaning disrespectful, but for lack of another word, you were a little naive to some of the ways of high school girls. And I think you got, a little led around by your nose. But I can tell you this. You and I were pretty inseparable for about 6 weeks because you were just devastated to be without her, to not have her to talk to call, to do things with. And so I don't think there were two happier people outside of you and Cheyenne than me and Rachel when you two got back together, because we were tired of listening to y'all cry. But again, it's just proof positive that there are relationships that are meant to be, and things happen to really solidify. And that, even though you guys were just teenagers, that 6 weeks really, I think for both of you, whether you realized it at that time or not, solidified for the two of y'all that was your person.
Yeah, no, I feel like it definitely strengthened us in a way that I didn't really see being possible, but it definitely like led us down the path that we took. I think maybe had we not separated like that for a couple weeks, maybe we wouldn't be where we are, but I don't know.
I mean,
who can say?
Yeah, I mean, you can't really say, but I definitely think it opened both of your eyes to something. And it's kind of like, I've made reference to, I've been married and divorced a couple times. I never did it for the right reasons. With your dad, Jason, it was about, not wanting to follow the rules at home and needing to get out and not being able to stand on my own 2 feet, Hayden, with you, I mean, with your dad, it was more of the point that I was in my life. It was more of this is what's expected of me. I mean, I can honestly say today, I still care about your dad. I love your dad in a very different way, and there's not, if your dad needed help from me, I would be there. I've reached a point in my life where I can say that about Jason and Matthew's dad as well. Just in a different way. That was a very volatile and hurtful situation. And it took me a really long time to put down the hurt and the anger from that relationship, because it was doing nothing but hurting me. Yeah. I mean, I'm not going to run to be in his business, but if anything happened to him and there was a need, I would lean in. But then I look at my marriage now. I had no reason to get married again. I was successful in my own right, had my own house, my own car, could pay my own bills. I don't really need another person. But then this person came along who presented a set of situations of his own right that I thought, oh, I've been there, done that. There's a better way. I want you to experience something different. And then, you fall in love with that person. And I can honestly say, and I've said it to him before, and I think I've said it to both of y'all before, this is the first time I've ever gotten married because I was in love, not for another need. And that makes it different.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Makes it different. And he adores y'all.
Yeah, I've been in a couple of different relationships, and I really don't feel like anything has, or rather, any of those relationships have brought me anywhere close to the place I am now. Now, of course, like after 7 years of marriage, it is of course going to feel different, because before this relationship, I think the longest time I was with anybody was like 2 or 3 years. So there's really not that same level of commitment. I've also, before I became a Christian, never dated anyone with the intent to get married. And honestly, when I started dating my wife, I really didn't have the intent to marry her either. As a matter of fact, I was on the prowl for something totally different. And God just works in mysterious ways and makes things happen that He knows are for your good. And I'm really just walking in that now, and I love it.
Yeah. It's there's a lot of like relationships I think we go in and out of in our lifetime that kind of form our beliefs and how we interact with other people. But I also know this. I know that who you are today isn't who you have to be tomorrow if you dislike who you are today. Because let's face it, I've been through and done some tough stuff, and I've put myself behind the 8 ball more times than I care to admit, mostly because I didn't like myself. So I didn't feel like I deserved things. And so not consciously aware, I self-sabotaged myself a lot. And that was rough. And I mean, it took raising the 3 of y'all and kind of coming full circle through all of that for me to realize I don't have to not like myself. Granted, I don't look like a supermodel on the cover of Sports Illustrated, but let's face it, they really don't look like that either. I mean, the public, I'm not thin, I'm not young, I'm not this, I'm not that, but what I am is enough. And Jason, do you remember, well, I still had my very first Jeep back then. And I loaded you guys into the car one day, again, the car, hey, let's ride up to the front of the neighborhood where the little park with the pond is, because, there's just things I need to say to you guys. I feel like I'm a good mom now. I don't feel like I was always a good mom because, I can now admit there were times I still was seated in my selfishness and thought about myself first. And so when I started to turn that corner and realize that's not really how you live your best life, I had to say to you guys, look, there's stuff I need to apologize for. There's shit I need to tell you guys. There's things I need to own up to. And if you got questions or you feel like you need to call me out on some bullshit, right now is the time to do it. Do you remember us having that conversation?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And if you got questions about things or I said something to you that didn't sit just right, now is the time. And I really think that because Hayden, you were still relatively young at that time. And so turning that point with Jason and Matthew, I think gave you, Hayden, the best version of me as a mother.
Yeah.
So you owe your brothers a thank you because I cut my teeth on them.
Thanks,
You're
Dick.
welcome.
Well,
yeah, I know that got all deep when we were just going to talk about pineapple on pizza.
I was about to say, this episode started off heavy, man. Just ripped into it.
Well, but okay, so let's change directions then. How come you put 2 socks in the dryer and only one comes out?
Because if 2 went missing, you'd never notice.
Wow, that is a really good answer.
Yeah.
Well, and if anyone has ever seen Family Guy, then you know that there's a tiny little like half man, half goat that lives in there that steals them and runs away to Narnia.
Yep.
And does what with them?
I don't know.
But I mean, no. Like you only notice when one goes missing because if 2 went missing, you'd never know.
But if I know I put 2 in there and then only one come out or none come out, wouldn't I know? Because I know I put 2 in there. Because I don't know about you, but like I put my stuff in the
22.
laundry.
Sorry.
Shut up. I don't like just throw a big wad in the washer. Like I separate out my things. I put 2 or 3 things in at one time. So I know 2 socks are going in.
As much as I can stuff in a one handful, I do because I don't want to keep having to do that.
That's what she said.
That was wrong. That's not how you do laundry, Hayden.
No, I'm totally with Hayden.
It's
and
how
this
I
is
do laundry.
This is truly a long gender line split here. Like men just shove everything in there, women sort by colors and delicates and all this nonsense. I just don't have time for it.
Yeah, no. I got places to be, things to do, people to meet.
Or places to do and things to be.
There you go.
Right. So you're such a Hayden, do you do your own laundry?
No.
Oh, well, then what are we talking? You don't have a right to speak on this stuff.
I do it sometimes, but usually Cheyenne's the one that does the laundry.
Oh, you said doo-doo.
I did say doo-doo. But no, I do it sometimes. It's usually Cheyenne that does it, though.
And why is that? Because you just don't? Or...
Yeah, I guess.
Okay.
But I mean, I do other stuff. Like I do the dishes and stuff.
That's what I'm asking. That's like the division of y'all's chores. You do dishes, she does laundry.
I mean, it's kind of just like I did them last time. You do it this time with a lot of stuff.
Oh, Dakota, I know the answer at your house. Y'all each do your own laundry, right?
That is correct.
Yeah, that's how we do it at our house too. Mostly because my husband doesn't like long blonde hairs embedded in his boxer shorts.
That's fair.
I get that all the time.
Yeah. That's why, like early on, he came to me one time just in his boxers, right? He says, you know how like I appreciate you wanting to do my laundry and help me out, but when you mix our stuff together, that's when it becomes an issue for me. And I'm like, what's the problem? I'm just being efficient. And yeah, he reaches down, pulls the big long blonde hair out. He's like, this is painful.
Yep.
Oh, okay. And ever since then, he's done his own laundry.
Yeah.
Unless he gets really backed up, then I'll jump in and do it for him, but I don't mix our stuff together anymore.
No.
So, but this still doesn't tell me where that sock goes other than to Narnia, which isn't really a real place anyways, right?
It depends on how deep you get invested in books.
So, while we were talking earlier, Dakota's been sending me a bunch of pictures. Just like
I'm
His
very
name's
good at
Jason.
multitasking.
funny pictures.
Jason.
Jason.
You have to call him Jason.
Jason, sorry.
This is a disclaimer from Monkeys Unfiltered. For anyone who doesn't know, Jason's full name is Jason Dakota. His mother wanted him to be called Dakota. However, as he grew up and became his own person, he chose to be called Jason. Occasionally, you will hear Hayden and I refer to him as Dakota. We didn't want anyone to be confused.
But he sent me some photos, and this one I think is pretty good to talk about. The most lewd sounding town names in each state.
Who voted on this?
I don't know, but
Miss Cocky? Miss Cocky?
I'm looking at Minnesota with the keister.
Wait. Oh, yeah. I don't know.
I'm looking at
Wisconsin.
Dick, Michigan.
I'm looking at Spread Eagle, Wisconsin.
Hey, what about Cummertown?
How about Intercourse, New York?
There you go. Woonsocket.
Yeah, I mean, there's always PP Township.
There's Three-Way, Arizona. Rough and Ready, California.
Yo. Sugar Tit, South Carolina.
Jason, when are you moving to Ball Play, Alabama?
That is up and coming. It is on the list. It's on the docket. We've discussed it.
How about Wiener, Arkansas, or really where you should go, Jason? Cooter, Illinois.
Man,
Boy.
When we went to Hawaii, we should have gone here. Hanau Napupupu. Napupu.
We're sorry to all the Hawaiian folks that may one day listen to this podcast. We love Hawaii. We just are phonetically challenged.
Truly.
Cummings, North Dakota.
You know, because we're from places like Dick Shooter, Idaho.
But
Cummertown,
Georgia.
Montana. Cummertown, Montana.
Oh my God.
Yeah, dude.
Sweet Lips, Tennessee.
Yeah, boy.
Hooker, Oklahoma.
And there's a Hooker, Texas as well.
Yeah.
I don't know what state this is, and it pisses me off because its city's name is Beaver City.
That's Nebraska.
Beaver City, Nebraska.
Then it's looking like, is that Big Bone, Kentucky? Big Bone?
Yeah, Big Bone.
Big Bone, Kentucky.
Brohard, West Virginia.
Oh my God, I've been to Short Pump, North Carolina.
That's
Just
Virginia.
saying.
That's Virginia.
Well, wherever I've been there.
Climax, North Carolina.
It's a short skip and a hop from Blue Ball Village.
Which is, well, of course, there's Bangor, Maine. Everybody knows that one.
Yeah.
Rough and Ready, California.
What state is that, Hayden, that has butternuts?
New York. Goofy.
Yeah, that's Butternuts.
Oh, okay.
Looks like, what? Effingham, Vermont? Is that?
New Hampshire.
New Hampshire, okay. That's Cozy
Okay.
Corner, Vermont.
So this leads me into another conversation. Can we talk about why Hayden has just like a stupidly ridiculous knowledge of geography?
Yeah, let's talk about it.
Video games. An immense
Really?
amount of geography-based video games. Yeah, pretty much. Like history and stuff.
Right.
Like
I got a good portion of my history lessons and, like seeing old historic buildings and stuff from
Assassin's Creed. Yeah, me too. That's just what I was getting ready to say. Is a lot of stuff comes from the Assassin's Creed games because they take place so long ago and they try to be historically accurate up until a point. But
What does that have to do with you being able to know the U.S. geography map by sight? Like there are no state names and you knew every single state on the map.
Sporkle.com.
Right. Surprisingly, yeah. But no, I don't know. They're shapes.
That's your superpower?
It's like shapes. Like I can show you a circle and you call it a circle. You can show me the shape of North Carolina and I can tell you that's North Carolina, yeah.
You're weird.
What's interesting is my wife is a geometry teacher, so she deals with shapes all day. Her
What's
job
that got to do with geography, though?
Well, hear me out if you would. Her
Okay.
job consists of teaching children how shapes work in math, right? Well, Hayden just said when you look at a circle, you know it's a circle. Well, there's an incident. One of her students on one of her tests, they were doing plot points on a graph. And she says, graph the square, right? Tell me why this kid ended up with a circle. And didn't think anything of it. Turned it in just like that.
Because he doesn't know the difference between a circle and a square, I guess. Wow.
Well, then really, is that my wife's fault? Because it's her job to teach them.
No, but here's the thing. I'm not judging because I've already established I don't have an adult relationship with math. There should not be numbers or shapes. Math is I'm not numbers. There should not be letters or shapes. Math is about numbers.
Yeah.
Not drawing or letters. Numbers. That's my opinion. Says the person who had to purchase a math waiver to get her college degree. Just saying. I had to really prove how illiterate I was at math for them to agree that for $1,200, I could not have to get that second math credit. I could take a math-based humanities instead.
That's cheating.
Now, this is interesting.
What's that?
I just came across a Reddit post that says, what smells better than it tastes? And the top answer is a nose.
Wow.
They understood the assignment.
Yeah, man.
Well, I love me a good dad joke, right?
Oh, they're fantastic.
Right. So which side of the turkey has the least amount of feathers?
I don't know.
I don't know either.
The inside.
Ha!
Right.
Good point.
Not incorrect.
Wait. Hayden? Wait. Where do you take someone who's been injured in a peekaboo accident?
I don't know where.
To the ICU. Oh my God, I love that joke.
Yeah.
I love that joke. Where do you take someone who's been injured in a peekaboo accident? To the ICU.
Yo, I don't know about y'all, but the calendar has been pissing me off lately. Its days are numbered.
Hold on. There were a bunch of cows standing around out in the field smoking pot. The stakes were high.
Rest in peace, boiling water. You will be missed.
Lol. My wife said I should do lunges to stay in shape, but that'd be a big step forward.
Did you tell her round is a shape?
Right.
Right.
Time flies like an arrow. Fruit flies like a banana.
Ew.
Singing in the shower is fun until you get soap in your mouth. Then it's a soap opera.
All right.
Okay. We're going downhill fast.
Wait, one last one.
Mm-hmm.
What does a tick and the Eiffel Tower have in common?
What?
They are both Paris sites.
Okay. That one's going in my dad joke arsenal. Nice. So on that note.
Hey everyone, thanks for joining us on another episode of the Monkeys Unfiltered podcast. If you enjoyed this time in the jungle, be sure to return next time. Be sure to follow us on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook at Monkeys Unfiltered. Subscribe to the podcast anywhere you listen to podcasts for more.
Thanks for tuning into Monkeys Unfiltered. If you enjoyed our jungle of ideas, hit subscribe for more untamed conversations. Stay curious and keep it unfiltered. This is Hayden, signing off. Until next time.
And honestly, when I've met my current wife, I say current wife. let me start that again.
Excuse me.